Okay, good morning. This is the August 5th meeting of the Technical Review Committee. Just a couple of things. We do have masks are not required, but are recommended if you would like to wear a mask. There is hand sanitizer out in the lobby for that. Basically, just want to give, since we have a fair number of public here, and we usually don't have public at our meetings, just to announce or kind of tell you about the purpose of the Technical Review Committee, otherwise known as TRC. It's a chance to have all our departments meet with applicants, go through their applications, and to talk about a coordinated review of all the issues on their projects. TRC does not vote. They do not approve or deny projects. Their job is to determine whether a project is ready for hearing and is complete. The public obviously is welcome to observe, but the public does not comment or ask questions during TRC. There's an agenda on the stanchion there. There's also a stack of cards, my cards. I'll be glad to meet with any member of the public that has questions or wants to meet after the meeting, or we can schedule an appointment. So with that, this meeting is being recorded. It is being live streamed, but I would ask all TRC participants to use the microphones. The applicants will be able to come up to the podium here by the dais and use that microphone. Let's see, so we will take the agenda items in order today, and I would like the TRC members to introduce themselves. My name is Pat McNeese, and I'm the principal planner. And we'll start with Nick. I'm sorry, Tony. I didn't see.
Hi, Tony Manello, Streets and Stormwater Supervisor, Public Works.
Good morning, Nick Macris, Project Supervisor in the Project Administration Department.
Beth Hughes, Code Enforcement.
Rick Kinney, Fire Marshal.
Allie Keene, Planning and Zoning.
Ray Page, Utility Superintendent.
Heather Frendell, Water Distribution.
Shannon Brewer, Municipal Arborist. Megan Araya, Floodplain Coordinator.
Lisa Godwin, Plans Examiner, Building Department.
And our first item is the Gemini storage item. Is anyone here to address that item? Is the applicant present for Gemini storage? Okay, we'll go ahead and go through the comments on this. Basically, Planning Department has some outstanding items on this. I know, Tony, the drainage comments have come back. The main question, which I can coordinate with staff on at any time for me on that aspect, is the use of the current surface for parking. It looks like they're going to use the current crushed concrete, not change the grade, so I have some questions on that. And planning also has some issues with the wetland mitigation plan and some of the other parking design and the use of the chains for the spaces. So that kind of, I'll be giving the applicant detailed comments, but I'll coordinate with Stormwater before I do that. Do you have anything else, Tony?
Yes, we have just a few from Public Works perspective. I guess the main question is, what's to be stored on site?
Boats and RVs.
Okay, so they are going to have fuels and fluids and such. Being that they're on or abutting adjacent to the wetland, we just need, separate from the stormwater view or even part of it, just what type of mitigation plan they have for potential leakage, fluid leakage. The only other option that we're looking at here is the trash, their trash pickup. Along those lines, assure that the turning radius is sufficient to accommodate trash collection vehicles and trailers and such, especially with boats. They're of course not going to be able to make a left going southbound. They're going to be restricted to right exiting, but also their entering radiuses. We want to make sure they accommodate trailers and waste management vehicles, I'm sorry, sanitation vehicles. Also, is there some type of sanitation plan in place for trash pickup? Because some type is needed. We saw I believe it was a 40 or 55 gallon, just a trash, that's not acceptable. A minimum 2-yard dumpster is recommended. They have them on wheels also, depending where they want to put it. And finally, that it must be an enclosed dumpster corral, or at least fenced, not visible to the public. And being that Mears goes by as well, if they keep it behind fence, it still can't be visible off-site. With that being said, I don't believe there was we didn't see anything on the plans showing a dumpster or any type of roll-off. So the worst case scenario, they may lose a parking spot to accommodate this. Also for the waste vehicle, sanitation vehicle going in and backing in and out to get through. So yeah, I don't know if you wanted to incorporate that fluid question with our stormwater review, because there's got to be some type of berming or containment or.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
and we've been asking for just containment of the parking lot, which we haven't seen yet. The other thing is the applicant has proposed to maintain the entrance, the culvert. I don't see a final approval for the design on that yet, but I would like to get with you guys on what kind of instrument would have to be in place for them to maintain all that infrastructure and build it to the correct, for Rick's fire trucks and everything.
Yeah, because it does appear quite close to our drainage swale there. And we have to maintain our portion as well, so if they landlock us from getting back to mow, it's not going to be good. So, yeah, I'd
Right.
like to review that also.
Okay,
Nick?
all right. Nick, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, I could add on a little bit to Tony's comments about the proposed 20-foot drainage easement. That's going to be really good, and I don't know if that's been finalized, but I think we're still working with them in that regard, and that's going to help us tremendously with our long-term O&M. So getting back to the culverts, yeah, I think those details need to be ironed out and nailed down, because the way I read the note in the plan is that they are going to be responsible for the driveway and the culverts, both culverts underneath there. So I think that's going to be good, but I think we need to understand, is that going to be just while the project is under construction, or is that for long-term for O&M? Because I think that definitely is important.
Ad infinitum.
And one thing I saw, and I think they probably want to change, if I were them, as if I was an attorney. Actually, the proposed easement in favor of the city of Tarpon Springs. City will permit any activities within this easement. That's too general of a statement, so I think they probably have to clarify what kind of activities will be acceptable in that easement. I saw that Swift Mud permit is to be issued. That's going to be good. And then I also see that they mentioned that there is the driveway Pinellas County permit to be issued, or it was included. Maybe it was me, I didn't see that. But I do know that
Yeah,
we did a countersign with the county to allow for the boring underneath of Safford for the connection of the water line. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what that's in referring to.
Yes, so they're looking for a water management permit. We have to be a signatory to that. So
Countersign.
have we done that yet?
I've done that a while ago, but I don't know if that was in the same location. That may just need to be looked at again.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe I'll reach out to my counterpart at the county to ensure that they have everything they need from us in regards to that connection, the driveway. And other than that, looks like they're referring to all the current and correct city standards, and I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. Beth, do you have anything on this one?
Not at this time.
Okay.
And
Rick, what you got?
fire has nothing to do at this time.
Yeah, they did put a statement that the bridge would be sufficient to support, so, that seems fine. Okay.
I have a
Right.
few comments, Pat. Please provide a downstream analysis of the sewer capacity for the system. This won't be a typical application. Monday through Friday, there'd probably be very low sanitary usage, but during Saturday and Sunday, we could expect extreme usage. Please provide specifications showing the cover over the dump area to prevent rainwater from entering in it. And it would also need to have a foot-operated control where you would not have to stick your hand in dirty water to open or close it. There shall be no connection to the 20-inch water main, so they'll have to figure out an alternative connection. And they show a tie-in with a clean-out for the sanitary sewer, and by code, it's required to have a manhole at that location. And that's all of our comments.
Okay. Building, what do you guys have?
We don't have anything at this time.
Okay.
It appears that either trees or palms might be removed in this, so I've added my link to the tree and site information page to obtain a new construction checklist. And also, if they are going to be removing, they need to add a table for that removal and an overlay with the tree locations for the tree removal application.
Okay, thanks. All right, and we'll move on to the Eagle Creek final plat. Is anybody here for Eagle Creek? Okay. If you'd like to talk about or give us any information to start, or we can go right into comments either way. Okay, yeah, the only thing I had, and I'm sorry, what's your name? Oh, you're Joseph. Okay, it's nice to finally meet you outside email. Okay. Yes, so the plat is under review by the surveyor, and I think that's going pretty good. Okay, good. Yeah. Great. Could you, I don't know if we'll have questions, but could you come up and use the microphone? Just because we're being recorded this time, I know we usually aren't. So yeah, you did receive comments from our
Yes,
surveyor.
I received comments from the reviewing surveyor on Monday, and I just haven't resubmitted because this was pending, and I knew
Yeah.
there wasn't time to resubmit to
Okay.
everybody.
And I'm not sure the engineer's estimate of the bond. Are we waiting for a response from you, or are we,
No, we're still waiting on the reviewer.
for the second round?
For the second
Okay,
round, and he
that's
did make
fine.
a comment to me. So the first round we submitted, it took a long time to
I know.
review. And one of the comments was, hey, there has been a pay app from the builder during that time. Please revise your numbers to remove that from the bond amount. So it's taken a while again, and we're kind of
Okay.
concerned that we're gonna get in this every time. We gotta revise it and review it again because,
Okay.
the builder's getting pay apps.
All right, I'll follow up on that. And then the only thing I couldn't find, which our police department representative isn't here today, but I'll coordinate with him. There was talk with this project about the limitation, since it's gated, on enforcement activities that are not, life and safety, like a noise complaint, something like that. We talked about, and it was in your conditions, to put something about private enforcement in the HOA docs. I see all the enforcement of the deed restrictions, that's fine. I'm not sure what that would be, and I'm not sure exactly what the language would be, but I can get with Anthony. I was hoping he would be here today, but or if you guys have something you could propose, but just to make the residents aware, not so much rules, but give them an awareness that, response to, police calls there may be some items that they need to enforce internally themselves. So just wanted to give you a heads up. I'll get with Anthony, and you can,
Okay,
You
if you
can
could
maybe-
send an example of something needs
Yeah.
to be added to the declarations, and I'll forward that to the client and their attorney.
okay. Yeah, and it could be as simple as a statement that, police response to non-life safety issues may be limited or delayed, or, I don't know. So, That's the only thing I didn't find in the HOA docs. Everything else made it in there, so. So that's all I had. Tony, you got anything on this?
Yeah, I've got just a couple quick ones. Just a reminder that this project is within city limits regarding stormwater jurisdiction, but also Pinellas County. And I strongly encourage you to consistently maintain your sediment erosion control BMPs that are already in place. That's very important. You've been very good so far. We did have a couple incidents, but they're fine. Also, Pat, this is mostly for us. I want to, once again, design and construction standards are for private construction. I just want to reinforce the fact that maintenance responsibilities of the stormwater infrastructure, all stormwater infrastructure, within the subdivision remain with the HOA and not dedicated to the city.
That is correct. One of the last comments I received on Monday from the reviewing engineer, one, the HOA will own all the improvements, but two, I added a note that the city has the right for emergency to be able to access and maintain all the stormwater, but not the obligation. So that was something on Monday that came up with the survey review, and on the when I resubmit this with everything revised, it will be included.
That is excellent, yes. There's sometimes it's lost in translation. It's in the plat, goes to SWIFMUD, everything's approved, then whatever reason in a dedication, it gets dedicated to the city, well, then we're kind of stuck there. So we want to make sure that follows through moving forward with all development, private development. So thank you for including that.
Yep.
Okay, great. Nick?
I have no comments on the,
Beth?
Just pretty much the same thing for all new residential, that any of the community HOA lands are actually made where the ownership is under the HOA rather than the developer, and that any trees within the right-of-way along the streets are trees that aren't going to damage the sidewalks. That's it.
Okay.
And I have no comments for the site this time.
Okay. And Ray?
We have no new comments from our previous revision, but as you said, the utilities will remain privately maintained also.
Yes, I believe everything in there is going to be private with easements to the county for maintenance, but not obligations. It's spelled out now in the dedication.
Okay. And Shannon?
My comment actually was addressed, so thank you, Beth.
Okay. And
No, we don't have anything.
nothing? Okay. All right, great, thanks, Joe. So I will get back with you on this language, and I'll follow up on the, our two consultants' reviews.
Okay, will that require a new TRC, or are we at the point
No.
now?
No.
Perfect.
So as soon as we wrap everything up, we'll schedule for BOC.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, okay, thanks. All right, next we're going to have our two variances, which is, first one is for Mr. Hillary. Is he here? Is there anything you want to tell us before we do comments? Okay, and then Ally is going to be doing our comments.
Sure. So this is a variance request for a new dock on a property. It's to exceed the length and width that's allowed. I just have one comment. I would like to have a narrative included in the application that kind of explains why the proposed jet ski lifts cannot be located behind where the boat slip is, because those are what are requiring the additional width. So if you can just add that to the application, provide that to us, we could supply that to the board. And then this application, we have advertised for it, so it is scheduled for the August 25th Board of Adjustment hearing. Prior to that hearing, we will send you a staff report as well as the meeting agenda, so you'll have a reminder for that. And then I'll send you this comment list after this meeting. That's all I have.
Okay, Tony, anything?
Public Works has no comment.
Okay. Nick?
project administration has no comment on the variance.
Okay, Beth?
No comments, thank you.
Rick?
And fire has no comment.
Okay,
Public Services has no comment.
Be aware, please, that the mangroves are actually, if you have any on your property, are state sanctioned and protected by the state, and their removal will have to be addressed during the Pinellas County part of that review process. So
Okay.
No additional comments.
All right, do you have any questions for us, or? Okay, great. So, yeah, if you have any other questions, you can get with Ally, but she'll be preparing your packet for the variance hearing and go from there. All right, thanks. Next is Polo Builders for the 130 Athens Street property. Is anybody, okay, is there anything you want to, you'll have to kind of go around and come down to this podium, just, yeah.
Just in case I have to answer anything.
Okay.
Okay, so this is another variance request, and it is for a home to be constructed on a non-conforming lot of record. They're looking to reduce the side setbacks for the home, as well as allow stairways to encroach into that setback requirement. Again, I just have one comment. We received the revised application, I think it was on July 23rd, and in that email, it stated that the stairway configuration was going to be revised, so it's not going to be necessarily on the property line, but potentially, I think, 3 feet away.
Correct.
So we would just like to have an updated site plan provided to us, and that way we can get it to the board so they have an accurate picture of that. This application right now, as long as we get the revised materials, is scheduled for the September 22nd Board of Adjustment hearing, and again, you'll get a staff report and meeting reminder prior to that.
Okay,
Okay, that's all I have.
no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Tony, you got anything?
Public Works has no comment.
Okay, Nick?
No comment.
Beth?
No comment from code enforcement.
And Fire has no comment.
No comment.
I've provided the link for the tree removal application and the site information on there. And on this lot, for the square footage, 2 trees will have to be on property before the issuance of the CO.
No comments from us.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, next we have 3 sidewalk cafes. First, we have Yanni's Sidewalk Cafes. Anybody here for that? Go ahead. So Ally's doing that one.
Sure. We just needed some additional information on the site plan. They need to show where there's a clear pedestrian path and it has to be ADA compliant. I think we determined that was at least 48 inches wide. So need that, and then just reminding that they need to provide proof of liability insurance and the signed agreement with the city. That's all I have.
Okay, great. And Tony?
Ally said it well for me, no comment.
Okay.
I third that. Yeah, I think the big thing is ADA accessibility and just making sure that not only is established and maintained, and I don't know if we have to do periodic checks, but that'd be my comment.
Okay.
Fourth echo, the same.
Same for Fire, same one I had in mind.
Okay.
No comment.
Okay. Anybody over there?
No comment.
Okay, and this one's existing, obviously, so, and just a little background for you guys, a reminder, you know, these were allowed to exist during COVID, and that expired Monday, so they have to come in and renew all their agreements and all that. And we usually do a site visit with these, you know, especially for a new one. The one, and these are 3, there's some more that haven't come in to renew that need to, so you'll be seeing a couple more. And we're planning on just checking into field that all this stuff is still in compliance. So that, you know, I guess we could do it kind of individually. In the past, we've had our field TRCs where we go. So let me know if you guys want to coordinate on any of these to check them, but we'll be doing that. The next one is Orange Cycle Creamery. That one doesn't have a 48-inch marked. The plan's a little bit sketchy, so I will be getting with the applicant to take a look at that, and I'm going to go over there and kind of see, you know, what she's actually got on that. Her tables are up against the building, so she doesn't need the barrier, but I'll just check that 48-inch distance and see if she's got it. And that's mostly what I had on that one. If you got anything, Tony, starting with Tony?
Nothing for Public Works.
And I just, the only thing I want to add to that is I know there's a bench, a city bench, obviously, that, you know, is utilized
That's
over there
right.
for her patrons as well. So just I want to make sure that that gets tied in somehow.
Yeah, is that that's by the street, or is it back?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's over closer to the curb line, but obviously a
Okay.
lot of the customers use that,
Okay,
yeah. So, well, my comment would be, I guess, that obviously is open to anyone, so I think my comment would be, any business can't just have exclusive use for
Right.
that, so if that ever comes to it.
yeah, and I would
Same
think,
thing with, like, you know, parking in front of a business, you know, it's if it's city parking, public parking, it's open to everyone.
Right. and I would think she'd have to, she's gonna have to have 48 inches. If there's a table across from the bench, or reconfigure those tables. So, between the bench and, okay, thanks. Anything from you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say that the last time I was there, it appeared to be enough distance. I didn't measure it between the bench and her tables, but it is a little bit crowded there because you've got the A-frame sign, the 2 tables, and the bench, so they do need to make sure they're careful of measuring and keeping it wide enough.
Okay, great,
And fire is basically the same.
okay,
Maintained spacing.
all right.
This is a food service establishment, Pat, so they'll have to comply with the fats, oil, and grease requirements in the city's sewer use ordinance.
Okay,
No comment. Nothing.
okay, and the last one we have today is Tarpon Tavern. And of course, you know, they submitted the textbook, nice sidewalk cafe application. They've got plenty of room. That one's existing. But this one, they're expanding a little bit from what they had before, so we don't really have any issues with this one.
Yeah, Pat, it was not real clear. It looks like just one table? They're only going a few feet
Yeah.
north? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we're fine with that as long as they meet line of sight triangle requirements.
Oh, okay. Good point. Okay.
No comment.
No comments.
And fire, has no comment at this time beyond that.
I have the same comment, Pat. This is a food service establishment that's increasing its seating, so they would be, you know, subject to the fog requirements also within the ordinance.
Okay, great. Any comments from building?
No comment.
Right. Okay. Good enough. Next, we have an annexation for 1954 South Pinellas. Is someone here to address that? Okay, great, thanks.
My name is Marcus Howard. I'm standing in for Dr. Chada. She is the doctor that owns the building, but this happened to fall on her vacation week.
Oh,
So,
okay. Go ahead. Ally's going to look at that.
So we just need a little more additional information with the application. We didn't see any sort of narrative that explained the reason for the annexation. I don't know if you could just maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
okay, it's, they would be in, I think, that you tie into the city sewer. So if we tie into the city, it requires annexation.
Okay. This will also require a rezoning and a land use amendment coming into the city. Typically, those applications run concurrently with the annexation. So we would like to get that application submitted so we can run those together. With that, we'll obviously need to know what the proposed zoning and land use category you guys are looking to go into. And I'll send you that application.
Okay.
Okay. We'd also like to have a utility availability statement included with the application. That way we clearly know what you're looking to tie into. And then, again, we're just looking, how's the property currently being used?
It's a professional office, and because she's a dentist, I guess it needs to go to medical
Okay.
office.
So it's intended to stay
Yeah.
the office use?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's not changing the the building size or anything of I mean, it fits perfect. She's
Okay.
a small dentistry, which, I don't know about any of you, it's not my most favorite
Okay.
thing to do is go to the dentist, but she's a great dentist, and she wants to keep it small.
Okay.
And keep it the way it is. It's just the two different land uses. It would be nice if it was all commercial. It's been under one tax ID since its existence. It's just strange to have two.
And then, we haven't scheduled this yet for the Planning and Zoning Board. We're waiting for those additional applications and just, some answers to the questions, and we'll send you these comments and get
Okay.
you that application.
All right, sounds
Okay.
awesome.
All right. Oh, one last thing I wanted to point out, for annexations, because we have an upcoming election, we do have a cutoff for those applications. It's likely gonna be November, December, so depending on their time frame, they may wanna get that application in quickly, to hopefully not run into that
Okay.
cutoff, okay?
Okay.
All right, that's all I have.
Yeah, could I ask for a clarification? So she's got one parcel with a split zoning in the county. Do you, so do you think she expects, and I know you guys are gonna apply, she expects to want to keep two zonings? What is she looking
It
for?
to be all commercial.
Okay, so, yeah, issues that are gonna come up with the board and really with us is, what are the future plans? Because you've got residential behind it, so just, yeah, get her to think about.
They're never gonna, there's no intention to ever build on it or do
Right.
any of that. They just possibly will access the rear of the building for employees. That
Okay.
would be it.
So maybe when she gets back, she can, if she wants to kind of get a meeting with us on what commercial zoning she's going to look for, would probably
I
be
think it
some
would
low
be
level.
the same as the front building.
Right, but right now it's under county zoning, so we don't have that zoning, so she'll have to pick one from the city code.
Okay.
And I'm guessing maybe neighborhood business or something, I don't know, but we'll see. And the other thing about the annexation cutoff is she's gonna have to get through the process, through the board adoption before the cutoff. We're thinking it'll probably be the end of November to be conservative, so, yeah, once she gets back, just encourage her to get with us and
Okay.
and, we'll try to get it through before then. Otherwise, it'll be April before she can annex.
Ah.
Right. I know. So, all right.
Any other questions?
Tony, you got anything?
Yeah, I've got just a couple quick ones. Just a reminder, this will need, once it's approved, it'll need a stormwater review for ESUs, environmental stormwater units, for the stormwater utility fee. Also, just to assure that this meets city standard details for sidewalks, driveways, and parking lot stabilization.
Okay.
Comments? I have nothing.
I have nothing, thank you.
And fire has nothing at this time.
Okay. All right.
I have a few questions, sir. Currently, it's being dental, is going on there now?
No, it was a real estate office
And
for
you're
the
gonna
last
turn it into a
35
dental
years. And so she purchased it because she has a small dentist and paying rent, so her goal is to
Sure,
own
sure.
her own practice, and so.
Okay, so with that, we'll need to get something that identifies what the anticipated water demand would be and the sewer contribution, knowing that you're gonna connect the sewer. And I'm sure she's aware, but there's a new requirement from the FDP for the dental amalgam treatment. So she'll have to have something in place for that.
Yeah, she has a dry-vac system
Okay.
that they use, which is, it's an external
Yep, that
system.
qualifies, sure.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's the
So
system
we just
that.
wanna make sure that that's part
yeah.
of your original plan,
Yep.
because that'd be an expensive retrofit after
No,
the fact.
it's, yeah.
So that's our two comments.
Yeah, okay.
No comment.
No additional comments?
Okay, great, thanks. Okay. All right, next we have the foreshore golf carts, conditional use. Is that applicant here? Okay.
Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? Even if I don't.
Hi. Is there, and you are
Jean Marie, Oregon.
Marie, yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to tell us before we go through
I'll just wait to see if you
comments?
have anything to say, and then I'll answer.
Okay. Alley.
Right, I just wanted to clarify, I know when I spoke with you Regis, previously, you kind of told me where in the building you guys are occupying. Am I correct that it's the, kind of the northern portion of the building and it faces
Correct, there's a
Ring?
garage there.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that I was looking at the right area.
Yes, they have a double door there now, and I believe they're removing one. The landlord is in process of doing that and putting a storefront on the northern one, and then leaving the southern garage so we can go in and out with the
Okay,
golf carts.
great, that's what I thought, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Really, all that I'm looking for is maybe expanding on the narrative a little bit. We have some other questions that we have here in the comments that we'll provide to you, but
Okay.
just generally, like, looking for, proposed hours of operation, are they daily rentals, weekly rentals, that kind of information. So I'll give you a list of those questions with these comments.
Okay.
And then we haven't scheduled this application yet for Planning and Zoning Board, but we will provide you with that date, and I'll let you know when we need that narrative by.
Okay.
All right, and I will add to that, I think when this goes to the board, you should be prepared to, or at least expand on the narrative to, you kind of focus on the vehicles, which is great, but you've got the emergency response kind of thing. When someone breaks down, you said that you will be responding and then have I guess, an extra tow company. So give them a picture of what are your hours of operation? When do the people have to have these back?
Okay.
Will there be trash disposal on the unit where you can, you know what I mean, where they put their stuff in and then dispose of it properly? And what's your curbside say? I guess you're doing rollout for trash, unless Nick's got a dumpster at that building.
Yeah, I think
Those
they're-
kinds of things for them to, think through. Will there be an operator always available to address problems during the hours when, obviously these won't be parked somewhere overnight. They'll all have to be back in the building. Things like that is what they're going to want to hear on the operation.
Okay, so just to recap, so I've got this. You want to know hours of operation, days of the week that I'll be open, what type of trash pickup there'll be, which I believe is already set at that building.
Right.
So are you talking about trash on the vehicle, like if I'll
Well,
have?
yeah, so here's what I'm kind of advising you is the board's going to want to picture how this operates, and having spent, a long time in the Keys, what comes to my mind is Key West mopeds, okay, which is not a good, okay, so they're going to want to know, people will come over, rent the vehicle, go out, well, do they have to have it back by,
Yes,
6
yes.
o'clock? Yeah,
That's-
that kind of
We've
stuff,
got
if
that
you
in the
could.
plan, yes. So would
Okay,
you
we
like me
didn't
to
see that.
expand? No, I know, I didn't put that in
That's
there
okay.
because when I talked to people about what I needed to include, safety was the main concern and
Right.
parking. So
Yeah.
that's what I made sure I put in. I've never been in a meeting like this before, so I didn't know.
That's okay. We're just kind of, part of the reason for this is to prepare you for
Right.
hearing and help you.
Okay,
with
so would
some-
you like to know my thoughts on that right now, or do you want me to just
Yeah,
have
go
it?
ahead, because we can respond.
Okay, my
if we
goal
have-
right now is to be open Wednesday through Sunday, and Monday and Tuesday by appointment. So if there's somebody who wants a rental for a couple of hours, because I live right here in town, that would be possible for me. But it seems to me a lot of businesses in town are closed on Monday and Tuesday right now. So I'm thinking the load would be lower on those days. But of course, in season, which it looks like we're probably not opening till that time based on the hearing schedule. I may have to modify that and be open more. Since this is new, I'm not really sure, but I think my hope is to be open from 9 to 6. And then have things returned by 6. And if somebody wants to keep something longer, it would have to be an overnight rental, and where they would have to store it wherever they're staying.
Okay, so that, they would want to know that. All right. Great. So, I think that's all we had for planning. Tony?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the last several minutes, we've learned more about this so far than what I reviewed. But we assumed it was golf cart storage and sales. We had no idea. So
No,
you're
it's-
a rental,
Yeah.
a vehicle rental?
Yes, it will be a recreational rental. It's 10 golf carts, so it's not a massive fleet or anything. It's 10 golf carts, and just for people to enjoy the town and to have some fun as they're making the loop around town.
And
And
it's-
when you do ride in a golf cart around town, they're street legal, they have a VIN, they're license plated, they have registrations. They're gonna meet all the safety requirements that you need from the state in order to drive one. They can only go on roads that are 35 miles an hour or less, and the dealer, which is Capital Carts in Palm Harbor, which probably you've all driven by many times, can set the speed on these vehicles to less than 25 miles an hour, which is what we plan to do. So they're still moving along, but they're not able to drive them really fast. They'll have GPSs on them, so we'll know where they are at all times, and we have a map included here where they can't go on the highlighted area. It was in the packet. So they'll be basically between Diston, the river, the Gulf, and then Mears. So it'll be very self-contained.
And it's strictly golf carts?
Well, they're considered low-speed vehicles.
Well,
They're, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought Patty
No, I'm
said
not
something
doing,
about
I don't
mopeds
know,
or
we're not doing
scooters.
mopeds.
No,
Okay.
sorry, that's
No,
just.
So are they-
It's just the street legal golf
Yeah.
carts. A lot of residents have them in town. You see them around.
Understood. Are they
Okay.
battery operated or gas?
They're lithium battery operated. They are not gas. It's very clean. They're very quiet.
And they're stored indoors?
Yes, they'll be
When
stored
unused?
in the garage. There's a garage there at the site.
Okay, and we were just curious as to if Rick or fire or building has any issues with indoor storage of those type of batteries
No, there's,
in quantity?
I got it.
You got a few? Okay. And, yeah, I wasn't sure about if it was fossil fuel or not regarding a spill response plan both on and off site. If, say, they were to break down and there's a fluid leak or a battery leak, do you have we need to see some kind of plan showing your spill response, what you're planning to do to mitigate loss and spill, and say they're driving up on Live Oak and the battery explodes and acid during a rain, acid could potentially leak into the river. We do not want that, nor out on Sunset Beach. So some type of spill response plan, both for your on-site location and for the renter, their procedures, their SOP.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand this. Spill response plan in case something happens to the batteries.
Well, that's an example, not specific. I mean,
Okay.
there are other fluids involved with these vehicles? Grease, oils, coolants, anything?
That's my husband.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The axles will be greased?
Just enclosed greasing? Okay. So, yeah, and what are potential hazards of these batteries?
That's a good question. I was, when I was working with the dealer, he said they were basically maintenance-free and they are warranted for 5 years. But I will learn more about that and get back to you on that.
Yeah, and that,
48-volt lithium batteries.
that being said, that could limit your spill response plan dramatically. Just say, listen, in the event this malfunctions or blows up or leaks while you have it rented, what's the procedure for cleanup? Or actually not cleanup, you're not going to ask a tourist to clean up a spill. But maybe if you had some absorbent mats or some something to little glove
I don't know,
compartment or
maybe
compartment.
I'm ignorant, but these aren't like the regular batteries in golf carts. I don't know that there's any spillage with these,
No,
but
they're more-
And I'm not familiar either. That's why I said whatever I don't know the characteristics of these,
Okay, well,
but
I
if
will learn-
necessary, can you?
okay, I will learn more about the battery for the next hearing.
Yeah, Tony, they're more of a dry cell.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Should have asked Rick first.
Yeah, we'll go, we got, Nick, what you got?
I don't have much other than to say, very creative. I wish you best of luck in the endeavor. And
Thank you.
for my own personal edification, are they allowed on the trail?
No,
Okay.
No sidewalks,
they will
no
not be
trails?
allowed on the trail.
Strictly restricted to,
Yes,
low
I don't
traffic
think
roads.
electric vehicles are allowed on the trail, even bicycles, although you do see them on the trail, but
there's plenty of electric bikes on the trail nowadays, yeah. Okay,
there are signs on the trail that say no. So they'll just be on the streets.
gotcha. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Beth?
Yeah, I was only gonna reiterate what you've already said you do, that no trail, and that the locations where low-speed vehicles are allowed. You said you've got a map that'll be given to the
Yes,
person.
yes. It's in the packet that was online, and basically it's the streets that I told you, and no trail in addition to that.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, fire's got a couple things.
Okay.
You're probably gonna have to get with your landlord, because it's gonna involve him.
Okay,
One, because it is a garage, it's an enclosed garage, so you're gonna require some ventilation. Mechanical ventilation is required by building code and by fire code.
okay, so exactly what do you mean?
Just air movement in the garage space.
There
area.
will be air conditioning, and the garage will be open most of the day
Right,
while
but
we're...
even when it's closed, it still needs air movement.
Okay, so
so-
does air conditioning qualify as that?
No, it has to take fresh air in and exhaust air out in the garage area.
So like a fan?
Right, yes, a fan with an intake area someplace, so it moves air across the floors and out, is what it does. In case, it prevents any buildup of any gases or anything like that. But it's just, I'll also be able to show you more of it later on. I don't know the examples of them per se, but this is mechanical ventilation. It's very low volume of air movement, so it's not gonna be that extravagant. And the other thing is, this is definitely with your landlord or whoever, but the wall that is between you and, I guess, Lemon Street, I think you're on the
Yeah,
east
you
side
should-
of this building.
Yeah,
I am on the north side of this building.
but
You're right, I got myself backwards. So
Right,
yes,
northeast
so your
corner.
your south wall, where the carts are, that wall has to be a 2-hour minimum separation to the business next to you, because it is a garage.
Has to be a what?
2-hour fire-rated wall.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
That's what I'm saying, you'll have to get with your landlord. And what it is, it's a rated wall between occupants, and it has to be, capacity is, withstand 2 hours without progressing into the next building over, next unit over. And the wall between your office space, where your offices is, and the garage has to be a smoke barrier. So in other words,
It's just an open space.
you're gonna have to make a space there that's gonna be a smoke barrier between your office space and the garage, because the office space is a business, more occupancy type thing, it's where people are.
No, okay, it's just gonna be where I have a desk and a
Right.
computer.
So, but it calls for separation. I give you, I got the code provided in my notes. where-
Okay, can you tell me how complicated it is to do these things, or an expense?
That's gonna be more of a, contract to be able to tell you that, because I don't know what the cost is on that stuff.
Okay.
It may simply be a door. I don't know.
There is a door there.
Well, that, like I say, you're gonna have to get with your contractor or somebody, get with a builder or a contractor or an engineer and have them tell you what they need, because I don't know the parameters of it. That's more in the building world, but it's covered in fire code and under the building code, that the separation has to be between any office space.
Even if the carts aren't running on the inside of the garage?
Code doesn't specify that. It's a garage space, it's an enclosed garage. So it has to have separation to an occupied space, which is where your offices is, your bathrooms and all that. So it has to be a smoke separation.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have one other question. I don't know these things.
Right, oh, I understand.
That wall can be removed. Would it be simpler for me to remove that wall and just have it be an open space there? It's really serves no purpose. It's just a separator.
It's separating office space, basically.
Well, I'm calling it office space.
Well-
It was a garage before. It was a repair shop.
What I'd do is recommend afterwards, where you can get with myself and the building department, and we can determine what you want to do. I'm just going by what was presented to me.
Okay,
And the exit out the back, because I
Yeah.
know it's a very limited exit.
right.
Your landlord's probably gonna have to provide you with a surface that's capable of basically not dirt, not trees and stuff, all the way to the sidewalk as an egress, because it's designed as an egress point out the back. That's your secondary means.
What's that? Yes, there is a cement sidewalk.
All the way to the other sidewalk to get you
I
there?
don't know.
To the street?
Is
That's
there?
what it has to be. So that's just to protect the occupant, yourselves, gives you secondary means of egress.
Okay, it's my understanding that there's another business going in behind it, a restaurant? Is that?
Right.
Is that, never mind, I'm
Well,
just curious.
what it is, that exit is basically on the property where you're at, the whole structure.
Yes.
That back exit, that's, I believe, that property. So he has to provide you, or somebody has to provide an exit, a path of egress to
Okay.
the street.
Okay,
That's, for the most part, of what I have at this time.
okay.
Okay. Real quick, you had mentioned that the vehicles could be set for 25 miles an hour or below. I would just say they're allowed to use, you said between distance, so they're allowed to use Alt 19, for example.
Right, that,
I would say just be prepared for questions on setting a speed of 15 miles an hour on that road. You're going to get probably questions on that. Just be
I'm
prepared
not
for that. Now,
understanding.
rush hour, most people are probably going 15, but when it's not rush hour, they're
well,
going.
they don't have to drive it at 25. It means that they can't exceed 22 to 25.
Right, but I thought, I may not have heard you, I thought you said you could set it as low as not exceeding 15, or, I'm just saying whichever speed you choose or how you explain it to the board, just be aware of that perception. I'm just trying to get you mental pictures that will come into their heads that you want to be prepared to address, that's all. I think the rest of your streets are fine. Alt 19's probably the highest speed street, I think it's 45.
It's 35.
It's probably 35 right in downtown, 45 outside, so.
They're not going to be allowed to go on the 45-mile-an-hour part. It's against the law. So it changes
Good.
to 35 around the golf
Perfect.
course.
Yeah, and
And they won't be going that far anyway, because they're
Yeah.
limited to Mears.
that's exactly what that was perfect. That's
Okay.
what you need to be prepared to talk to the board about. Okay, Ray, what you got?
I have two items. I'm only gonna assume that you're gonna wash these vehicles when they are returned, and do you have a plan to handle the washdown water? Because we don't want the washdown water to just run off into the street.
Okay, that is, I wasn't thinking that was going to be a lot of water, but I will, so,
And then we'd also like to get your estimated water usage, because we don't know what, water demand you'll have for your business.
okay. So you don't want the water washing down into the street?
Yeah, that would be an issue.
Okay, so if I hand wash in the garage, like you would carefully and not use a hose, it would probably limit my water?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Does that have floor drains inside the building?
Yeah, and that can't enter the sewer either. You can't put it down the sewer, which is where Tony was gonna go, I'm sure.
Okay, so do you have a recommendation for me for washing the vehicles?
Well, typically, there would be like a structure that would have a grate to it, and it would be controlled so that rainwater couldn't get in it. I mean, the wash water itself is non-potable water after you use it, so it can't go into the stormwater system technically. It would need to go down the drain, but you would not want to allow rainwater down the drain. And this is a comment that we had on the previous storage thing, where you have to have, I'm envisioning like a pump out for like a sewer system, where you'd have a valve that you would open and allow the water to go down, so that it doesn't run off.
Okay,
And if you have questions about that later. we can
I
talk
do.
more. Sure.
Ray, those were great points, by the way, and I failed to mention them. Thank you. Typically, some of these systems can get very, very expensive. If you could somehow do like a dry chamois or moist chamois wipe down, would
Right.
probably be the best for you. And then washing, do it at a car wash. Do it somewhere that I already went through and paid all these hundreds of thousands of dollars for treatment.
Right, right. If I said that, would that satisfy the
Yeah,
requirement?
but the reality is, yeah, we'd want something in writing back from you guys.
Right,
just
I
that
know,
that's
I'll
part
put
of
it
your
in
plan,
writing,
sure.
but if I do it that way, that satisfies the requirement? Okay. There is a car wash that's not far from the building by the old Winn-Dixie, so, okay.
And we have another new car wash coming into the city, so that was just approved recently, so
Anyway,
you'll have a couple options. Okay, Shannon, or building, anybody? On golf carts?
I have no comments. We really didn't have any further comments other than what fire had already addressed.
Okay.
So the 2-hour separation between the tenant spaces, the adjacent tenant space, the smoke partition wall between the front and the back of the house, as you had presented where that wall is. And then ventilation, we're looking at per the manufacturer's specs to see what it has for those carts.
Ventilation in the owner's manual?
We would look at those manufacturer specifications
Okay.
with our guide.
Okay. Great, and Anthony's not here today, Anthony Boone from our police department. I was just gonna kind of circle back with him on any concerns or advice they might have as far as operation of these. So I'll do that. I see Steve's here, but I don't know if you have any advice for her or not.
There's a
on
couple of
low-speed
things.
vehicles.
Florida state statute requires that your vehicles, you cannot impede the normal flow of traffic. And I understand you're limiting the speeds to 25 miles an hour. I also understand it sounds like you're almost restricting your vehicles from being on roads that are 35. But now we're looking at the potential of being 10 miles an hour below the posted speed limit. Statistically, 10 below and 10 above is where most of your accidents occur. The occupant protection systems in these vehicles are not spectacular. I mean, they have seatbelts, but they don't have airbags and rollover protection and things like that. I would either consider the speed limitation, as weird as it may sound, to actually allow them to go the speed limit. If they're traveling on 30-mile-an-hour roads, they need to be able to go at least 30 miles an hour.
Okay. So not have him set it lower.
Right, and it
Okay.
sounds like from your map, which I briefly looked at, and I have to remember if you're allowed to put them on a US highway. Alternate 19 is a US highway, first and foremost. It's also then
I think the only limitation is the speed limit.
I think there's one part of that subsection, and I just have to look into it, but just consider that.
Okay,
Which
I will look
does,
at that.
if it says they're not allowed on a US highway, alternate 19 is US highway, alternate 19. And that would prohibit you by state statute from operating on them. So I don't know how much that plays into your plan, because it's a significant route between downtown and, say, the Sponge Docks.
Right. Well, if
If.
we said they could not drive on alternate 19,
Right,
as
and that
long
would
as
be
they
your only
could
thing to
cross
consider.
alternate 19,
Right, they can
That
cross
would
it,
be
they can
okay.
cross it, but they just can't operate on it. So that's one consideration, and then, like I said, I would consider the speed to be able to at least do the speed limit. If you're keeping them off 35-mile-an-hour roads, it makes life easy, to speed limit them at 30.
I think the only 35-mile-an-hour road in town is,
There's Klosterman, there's
Oh.
alternate 19.
Yeah, well, they won't be on Klosterman.
No, they're not going that far south according to your map.
No.
The speed limit changes to 35 just south of Mears on alternate 19.
they're not going south of Mears.
And then it changes, they won't be on the north end according to your map.
Right.
So other than that, that's the only place you're gonna deal with the
It's
35.
just all 19. Right. And I will look into that and see. I have a golf cart and
Yeah.
or a low-speed vehicle, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I would consider. Like I said, I have to look at the statute, but I thought I read somewhere about a US highway. And most people kind of forget that alternate 19 is a US highway.
Okay.
So just
I
look
will
into
look that
that.
up.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, do you have any other questions for us?
Just regarding the fire safety and air ventilation, and I'm going to have to talk to my landlord, who do I have him talk to?
It'd be myself, the fire marshal, and/or the building department, both would be involved. And as far as the, like I say, the ventilation, you may get that information from the vendor on the vehicle itself. Whether the charging units that they have for charging them and stuff, if they're required ventilation and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that.
So it all hinges on that, but as a base rule, a garage needs ventilation. Now, is ventilation because of the vehicles and because of the charging or whatever have you. However, if the manufacturer does not require it, but that's up to them, they have to provide that information.
Okay.
Which they should give to you.
Right, so I will look at that. So that has impact on the ventilation, but does not have impact on the walls?
No, the walls are a given. It's a 2-hour firewall.
2-hour wall between me and the business, but the adjoining wall?
Your adjoining business, yeah.
And then a smoke barrier?
Between your office space, like I say, you can come talk with the building department myself as far as afterwards to explain exactly what you want. We're going by just what was presented to us, and we're going by what the map is. Now, you may
Right.
be able to adjust
And
either
I don't
way.
really know because I've only been in the building a couple of times,
Right.
and it's not my building,
But I
so
do
I
know
will
that,
find out.
I do know for a fact that right now, that wall separating you and the other tenants or the other occupant spaces is not currently a 2-hour wall.
Okay. Okay. I will look into that. Thank you. Is that it?
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll get these comments to you in writing.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Great. We've been asked to take a 5-minute break before the next item, which we'll take all together for applications for the Anclote Harbor project. So we'll come back at 11:08, I guess, 6 minutes.
One comment, I want to make sure I put it on the right one. We never saw the trash compactor specs or anything, size and what type. Is that on either
I think we can go ahead and get started. Oops. I know. Like to
No, I got mine.
stand?
What's the problem? Yeah, right here.
Yeah, these are outlets. Just don't, yeah, plug it into the outlet, not the microphone.
Maybe he'll be Sergeant Faulkner.
Take the chair.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do that.
Take Lisa's
No,
chair.
I'll take that spot. That way Renee's not stuck with me. I'm gonna go,
Okay.
she's gonna sit in the audience. I'll sit there. You know, he can translate for me.
I tried to switch these. Oh, no, you have to sit over there.
Did you print out you didn't print out the plans, did you?
All right. Like to go ahead and get started again, please? All right, so our next item, we have Anclote Harbor. I think we have 4 applications here: conditional use, rezoning, preliminary plan development, and land use amendment. I think we can just go through, if it's okay with you guys, all of our comments combined on those with each of our staff. So the applicant is here. Is there anything you want to address or ask or say before we go through comments? I'm sorry, I guess that's a no. I can't see you.
Good morning, Cindy Terrapini. I'm with the applicant. No, we're just here, anxious to hear your comments, and our whole team is here. We have the engineers, the traffic engineer, our landscape architect, and of course myself and Mr. Armstrong, the attorney. So if you have questions for us, and we may have questions depending on your comment, we're looking forward to hear your comments. Thank you so much.
Okay. From planning department's perspective, I haven't completely finished going through all the details of this. I've got some general items that I did see, and of course you'll be getting a complete written comment from everybody after the meeting. The drainage is under review by our city drainage consultant, and the traffic study is also under review. I expect those results pretty quickly for both of those. One overall comment I noticed kind of pervasive through all the documents and everything is the acreage. So the total owned acreage is 72.62. The non-submerged acreage that the surveyor shows on his survey is 64.17. What I would like is maybe to take that site data table, show the total, remove the submerged lands, which I think is like 8.3, show what's left. And then that's where your density, open space, all your calculations would be applied. So all your narratives, I think your biological report, all those things, what I'd like to do is have you update those to reflect that non-submerged acreage that we're working with. I think your density's fine because you're using the zoning coverages, which don't cover the submerged land. So I think those numbers are good, but if you could update those. The project is currently being reviewed and will be reviewed for consistency with the city's comprehensive plan for this project, for all of the elements.
Yeah, just to expand on that, we do intend to literally do a line-by-line goals, objectives, and policies of the comp plan. And that will be in a spreadsheet format, so we will, when we're completed with that, we will provide that out for the applicant and anybody else that's interested. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just need to check the, I think the parking is fine. Maybe just reconcile, there's a couple spots where the numbers are different. Make sure the project documents are consistent. with the number of parking spaces, and we'll point out where we saw the inconsistency. We are asking, I would say, that you provide the estimated monthly rental rate at the time, for each apartment type at the time of initial offering. That would be helpful information. We need the documentation from Forward Pinellas on the 30% density transfer allowance, and I know this project went through a process once. We either need that to be resubmitted or, direct that you want that as part of this submittal. This is a completely new submittal, so we need that for completeness. Like I said, I haven't gone through the plan set in detail. I haven't quite finished that, but all your energy efficiency and energy saving type devices. I have gone through all the narratives, and it does mention the EV charging and different things. Solar, I don't know if that's still included, if that's going to be included. If you could just show those on your plans or tell us what those energy efficiency standards that you're proposing are. The canoe kayak launch, it's talked about in the narrative. Just curious if that is part of the docking structure location or if that's separate, if you could label the plans as to where that canoe kayak launch would be. I'd like to get clarification on Eagle impacts handled, how they're going to be handled after construction, and an exhibit showing that agency-defined Eagle impact zones. Kind of looking for whether how the dock situates with that, and just an exhibit showing that. I didn't see that. If it's in there, I haven't found it yet.
Excuse me, before you go forward, Pat, could you go back, I didn't quite hear the comment you made right before you started talking about Eagle impacts. You said something about a dock, which?
Yeah, the dock that's on the, maybe I missed it. The canoe and kayak, is that over in the old borrow pit, or is that on the river?
It's on both. There's
Okay.
two. So there'll be an ability to have a full dock with motorized vehicles on the river portion. And then on the wetland, on the West Peninsula, there's a canoe and kayak launch.
Okay, so canoe and kayak launch, no canoe and kayak launch. If they launch canoes or kayaks to the river, it will be using the dock.
Correct.
Okay, that's the clarification I was looking for. And whether it would be that or a different river location.
And then, I'm sorry, I was focused on the dock comment. I didn't, I missed all your comment on the Eagles. What did you want? What was your comment about
We'd
that?
like you all to consider addressing Eagle impacts after construction. So potential for Eagle impact management as part of the project after construction.
So an ongoing?
Yeah, ongoing, and also would like an exhibit as to, and you don't, these are TRC comments, so we can have a discussion, but also an exhibit showing that Eagle impact zone as it relates to where the structures are. I think the dock is probably the closest thing to it as far as activity goes.
Hi, Pat. So the FWC requires monitoring post-completion. Is that what you're referring to?
Monitoring post-construction?
Yes.
Yeah, but we're just asking that you consider some sort of a, like a management plan. In other words, if you do have Eagle's Nest, will the management be able to, I don't know, cordon off something, kind of help restrict activity in there during the nesting season like they do with, like over at Honeymoon Island when they do something like that, just something to consider for long-term.
Understood, and that is part of our programming, so we'll make sure we get you that information.
Okay. Like to ask that the environmental assessment report be expanded to discuss the history of the site. I know in one of the narratives there was I think it was in the rezoning narrative, there was a list describing the previous disturbance, the dredge and fill and that. We believe it would be helpful for information purposes for that environmental assessment, or however you want to present it, to include some of that historical information and how it's impacted the site, the extent of Brazilian pepper monocultures on the site. I did notice that your phase one, or maybe it's a phase two, your environmental risk assessment had a full suite of historical aerials. So that was good. But that was, of course, focused on chemicals and those sorts of things. But we would encourage you to submit something a little more robust on the disturbance on the site and the history of that. The report also lists the bald eagle as identified during the site visit. Just wanted some details on that. Okay. And then the significant upland habitat, at this point, I think maybe on that one too, double check those open space numbers that you've got. I think the acreages are right. That would be the amount of open space, the 30% open space that applies to significant upland habitat is 30% of the significant upland habitat acreage. That needs to be real clear. And it looks like you're providing more than that, but just to clarify that. And an exhibit that illustrates the open space, even just an exhibit that shades the areas that will count toward open space, both with respect to significant upland habitat and the overall site, would be very helpful for to illustrate what you're doing there. The biologist talked about whether it was high quality, but proposes to comply with the high quality standards. So city staff is going to take that to mean that it's high quality. It's not really definitively stated in that report. The applicant has stated, you've stated that, you're going to be restricting that recreation open space area to walking trails and benches and call boxes and emergency call boxes and things like that. So we would be looking for a restrictive covenant that would restrict that area to those types of facilities. We can work on the wording for that. So that...
A conservation easement, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're already going to be doing a conservation easement over the wetlands, so that would be consistent with that. And then looking at project potential, and those are kind of some of the general comments. I will get you a full list of any other discrepancies I see and all that on the plans.
A couple of things. On the conditional use narrative, you provided a lot of detail on the compatibility aspect, but there's 5 or 6 other review criteria for the conditional use that I haven't found anything in what's been submitted that, for those particular review criteria. So if you could expand on that, that would be helpful. On the actual land use map change application, the application itself, the acreages weren't filled in. I don't know if those fell out somewhere since it was a fillable form, but that would be, please get that resubmitted or completed. And then on the exhibit for the land use map change, I know you've provided the survey. I've looked at it about 3 times and I'm still having a hard time figuring out what's actually going into preservation versus what's not, the way it's presented. So just a very simple exhibit of what's actually going to go, I'm sorry, not into preservation, but into recreation open space would be helpful as well.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the rest of the stuff I had were just some, basically some ideas for project enhancement that we'd like to throw out, have you consider There'll be things that we will be kind of thinking about as we complete our review on this. I know you had submitted a wetland enhancement plan to meet water management requirements, and that aims to achieve the success criteria within 5 years. We'd like maybe more information on whether the site conditions would support a full wetland restoration plan that restores wetland grades, whether that's even possible out there, and maybe aim for potentially greater long-term success given the amount of disturbance, topographic disturbance and Brazilian pepper recruitment. It's just full of pepper. And just trying to maybe condition the site where that will not be as much of a constant management problem going into the future. Possibility of whether, I know the last time this went around, there was a public access park proposed that was rejected in that location. Maybe just explore the possibility of some kind of similar type access to the trail or park that you're proposing, or potential donation in lieu of that. Consider the feasibility of providing 5 floors for these 4 buildings and removing building 3 out of the Pineland. That would be obviously something that I don't know if that's feasible, but you could use maybe structured parking. These would be things we'd like you to at least consider feasibility, and I'd like maybe a little bit of input from TRC on Fire Marshal and others as to raising that another story. Your traffic would be fine. You're still mid rise apartments. So, and then as far as being in a flood zone and being in a high hazard area, whether you could exceed the flood zone requirements of the, I believe, 1 foot freeboard, and maybe Megan could comment on whether you know, that might be something that could be, considered over the 1 foot. Obviously, we mentioned this idea of a seasonal protection program for the eagles, and that was some of the ideas. The layout, obviously, and the project obviously already, avoids wetlands and a good portion of the uplands, leaves over 80 units of density on the table. We're just looking to see if there's some, consideration that you might look at further enhancements of the project. I don't know, Renee, if there's anything you want to add on that.
No, not right now.
All right. Okay, so if you want to continue, we'll go to comments. Tony, what do you got?
Yes, regarding all 5 of these, Pat, Public Works only has 1 comment or question. We did not see details on the trash compactor shown on the plans. If you could, if not previously provided, could you get those to us for review, please? And that's all from Public Works?
Okay, Nick?
I have just minor observation that the entire packet appears to be very comprehensive and very thorough. So thank you for that. One thing I did notice in a cursory review was, and this may be outside my purview, and I'll let Ray and Heather kind of elaborate on this, was it may be an outdated statement that it wasn't a conditional use narrative for objective 4.1.1, which was the level of service. And again, I'll let Ray and Heather handle that. But I think it states that 80% of the water needs in the city are met by Tampa Bay Water. I don't think that's an accurate statement, and the remaining 20% is supplied by our RO. So maybe look at that, and obviously you guys can confirm that. And thank you for identifying, the extension of the sanitary line, the reclaim line. That's what I mostly focused on, in project administration standpoint. Other than that, appears thorough, and I know there's going to be a lot of back and forth, so thank you.
Okay, great. Steve, you
I'll
got
ask you a
anything?
question. The traffic plan's already been submitted, is that including the FDOT changes, modifications, or whatnot, or is that a different?
The,
Seen that?
yeah, okay, and I can send it to you, but the applicant has submitted a plan with two curb cuts, two entrances on 19. The traffic study has been revised to address to update the traffic study for the two curb cuts. There is a gap analysis coming. I don't think we have that yet, but
Yeah, who's doing who can I pose the traffic layout questions to from the group?
Is there anybody?
Go ahead and come to the podium, please, so we can, if
Yeah,
Mr. Gasson has any.
Cindy, I know we worked on this the first time, and there was a couple of the considerations. One, we extended the entrance in. Did you guys end up putting a right turn lane into that main entrance? I just couldn't find it in the packet, so.
It should be.
Yep.
There
That
was?
entrance didn't change from the plans you saw before, and on page 1 of the preliminary plan, there's an entrance detail, and there are 2 lanes entering the site, and 1 lane exiting the site.
Okay,
I think that's
and
as we discussed previously. if
Was
I
there any
remember.
modifications made to the center median as far as left turn entry from southbound turning left or going eastbound into the complex?
I'm sorry, tell me
So
again
going
about,
southbound on US 19?
you're southbound on 19.
Is
you have
there
to, you have to
any
pass the.
modifications to turn left into there, or is everything going to be a right turn entry? So it'll be a forced
If
U-turn?
anybody, there's
Okay.
no change to that. If you are traveling south on US 19, you have to pass the entrance, make a U-turn, and then come into the site, traveling north, and make a right turn into the site.
Okay, that's, like I said, I just kind of took a peek at this like 10 minutes ago, and I have a very slow computer, so.
Yeah, there's the, so you see that didn't change. And then they've added this, a right-in
run-in lane?
a decel lane.
No, because this is a right turn only, so it's an XL lane.
I'm sorry, Max, yeah.
And there is a decel lane
yeah.
at both, a right
Both
turn lane,
entrances?
decel lane, whatever, at both entrances, the north
Okay.
and the south entrance.
All right, no, that's,
Yeah, and for clarification, I noticed one of the narratives said, and I'll get this to you, that one of the narratives said that both entrances would be able to use the new U-turn, but the traffic study is correct, but you would just want to correct that. The north entrance will be north of the new U-turn, median cut. So they will be, anybody going out there and
everybody's forced to go northbound.
yeah,
they'll
everybody's
either have to do it
they'll
back
have
either.
to use the Beckett signal to go south if they go out of that north
Okay.
entrance,
That's correct.
but.
That's all I had. Thank you very
Yep.
much. I
Right,
appreciate
that
it.
hasn't changed.
Okay,
Yes, thank
thanks.
you.
Oh, one quick before you leave. Did you get an updated traffic study, or was it done during COVID?
We did do an updated traffic study and get new counts. That was submitted with the package, and it's under review by the your
Okay.
traffic consultant.
All right, thank you.
We'll make sure you get that.
All right, thanks.
All right, Rick. what you
And as
got?
far as fire at this point, I really don't have anything until we actually get plans submitted to us, as far as, comments for the water and the buildings themselves.
With respect to the entrances?
The entrances,
dual entrances, you're.
They're fine, from what I can see, they're fine.
Okay, great. Ray, what you got?
Yeah, thank you. As you said, Nick, there is some inconsistency with the description of the water source for the city, and I'd like to get with somebody, we can clarify that. The city does produce 100% of its own water at this time, and it's a high-quality water. But I did see in the comprehensive, or in the conditional use, I'm sorry, that you did commit to the 7,300 feet of sanitary sewer force main and 2,200 feet of reclaimed water extension. So yeah, we have no real comments, but I would like to correct the narrative of the opinion, so.
Is this just for the conditional use or the site plan as well?
Everything.
Oh, it's everything? Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry, yeah, let's just give us your comments on everything.
Then ultimately, we would like to work with Kimley Horn and get a final copy of the route for the reclaim line and for the force main as soon as we can, so we can start looking at that for any conflict or, potential relocations that would need to take place or anything like that. And with that, we're done.
I believe the final development plan, which was submitted the same day, has a full set of plans of the off-site utilities.
Yeah, and they
Item
haven't,
D5 in the final development plan, which I know
Okay.
we're not talking about today.
yeah, and they haven't reviewed yet.
Okay, but it is there, so.
No problem.
I want you to know we did do it.
Well, and we did review all 724 pages of the report. So, I mean, no problem.
So did we.
Yeah, good.
Thank
So it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you.
Ray, just for edification, so once, these lines are, constructed by the applicant, they do become responsibility of the city for long-term maintenance.
Once they exit the private property, Renee, yes, and they enter into the easement in the right-of-way of the city, ultimately, the city would be the owner of it.
It'll be turned over.
And it is in code. We would need to see that in plat, as a survey, as-built, as part of the condition. We would like to get the as-built so that it could be loaded directly to GIS, but those are all details we can work out as the project goes forward. But yes, we would own it, Renee, after that.
Okay.
Okay, Shannon.
I saw that the Water Management District has required that all Category 1 invasives be removed, and after review of this plan, those species include Brazilian pepper, camphor, punk, or melaleuca, and mitigation will be waived on those. And it appears that from your tree removal and replacement schedule, inch per inch replacement will be, so that is in compliance with our city code for mitigation.
Okay.
My comments were already addressed with the flood.
Okay. Great.
Really nothing from building right now until we get plans in. Just the flood issue is the main thing.
Can one of you just maybe provide a brief overview of the tree, your planting plans, your wetland enhancement plans? I think that just would be good to kind of talk through what that is and what you're intending to do, with regard to the wetlands, the buffers, the enhancement plans, and things of that nature.
Wes Rogers is the landscape architect for the project, so he's going to talk about the tree mitigation and the trees generally in the landscape plan. We did not bring our environmentalist with us today for the wetland enhancement plans, but if you have specific questions, we can hook him up with you, Renee, for a phone call if you wish.
Okay.
And I'll let Wes. Sure.
Yeah, hello, Wes Rogers, landscape architect on the project. I'll provide a brief overview of the tree mitigation methodology that the city requires and how we are satisfying the code. So I'll run through the numbers. Currently, city code requires us to break out the size of trees removed into 4 inches to 7 inches DBH in size, 8 to 14 DBH inches in size, and 15 to 24 DB inches in size, and 25 DBH inches and larger. So we have broken out all the trees to removed into those categories. Total inches to remove is just under 12,000 inches total. And per code, we are required to replant inch for inch on site. Currently, we are proposing to plant over 12,000 inches in enhancements to the site within wetland perimeters, wetland buffers, and the like. And then our landscape plan is currently proposing just over 1,300 inches. So we are replanting over 13,000 inches. We are only required to plant back roughly 12,000. So we are exceeding that replanting requirement at this time based on the landscape plan plantings, which are our trees and such around the site, and then our wetland enhancements, which are a variety of native species along upland wetland perimeters and wetland areas to enhance the site further. So that is a general overview of our strategy to replant the site, the meat code for what we are removing.
So how many actual invasive trees were identified and would be removed? Not inches, but just trees.
Yeah, I have that number. Let me locate it for you. We're currently proposing just over 2,900 inches of invasives to be removed and eradicated from the site. And I should also note that we are also preserving over 1,000 native trees on site. So
Yeah.
that's
And Wes, maybe clarify that for us. The 2,900 inches, I believe, is just the camphor and melaleuca because Brazilian pepper was already exempt. So
Yes.
that's just those two. Yeah.
a majority of the invasive inches that we are removing from site are campers, as have been identified in the schedules through the plans.
Okay, thanks.
Also, for palm trees that are being removed, we are replacing palms inch for inch as well. We are satisfying that element of code. So it breaks it out into more detail on sheet L61. I just want to provide some rough numbers to provide an overview of our strategy.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No, I have an additional just on something else. So,
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if this would be you, Cindy, or not. I know there are a lot of recreational amenities being proposed. Is there anything like specifically geared toward kids, you know, for recreational amenities, tot lot, that kind of stuff?
Yes, there is a child's playground on site, and of course, obviously, the pool will be well used by children. The walking trails be well used. The circulation walking trail throughout the entire site, we think will be pretty heavily used by everybody that lives there, and definitely for children on their skateboards or whatever their hoverboards or whatever all kids use today. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, if you don't have any other questions for us, that will finish that item. And we'd like to, we'll talk about deadlines for submittal, but, you know, we'll get the comments to you in the next couple of days, and I guess
we
maybe for
expect
everybody's.
stormwater review back.
Yeah, stormwater and traffic.
Traffic.
I hope to have by tomorrow or Monday.
For the public, those are those with our consultants being reviewed, so
Right.
we're waiting for those to come back.
Yeah, and I guess for those comments, we do have a community engagement page. Renee, I'm assuming TRC comments will be posted.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We have the Connect Tarpon Springs project page for Anclote Harbors. So we will be doing our best to upload all of this, any documents related to this, the TRC comments, the review, whatever we get back from our consulting reviewers for stormwater and for traffic. We'll continue to upload those things and try to keep people as informed as possible. There is also a unique email address on that site that you can utilize. You can submit questions or comments. I believe it's just Anclote Harbor at
I think
CTS.
at CTS,
There's a
okay.
link there, so I don't want to misstate what the full address is. So we do want to hear from folks as this progresses through.
Right.
Excuse me, just one quick question. What's the resubmittal date? So we have a lot of things to revise based on the comments today. I just want to see what resubmittal date you're expecting.
Yeah, so like I say, we'll try to get these comments out to you by Monday at the latest, hopefully. I think we're looking at August 20th in order to go ahead and do a review and notice this thing if we can get it in shape for a September Planning and Zoning Board.
Yeah, we'll make that. It's no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if there's nothing else, any TRC members have anything you want to talk about? All right, well, that will complete the TRC meeting for August 5th, and we're adjourned. Thanks.